we don't know out there, but you shared internally with us, and I don't think you'll mind sharing this publicly. You had some doubts about Indy prior to that, because you're like, hey, I'm sacrificed. Give me some of these dry seasons, man.
To me, I think that the hard part of a dry season is not even the preaching as much as it is the studying. Because you don't feel like preparing something to say to something you feel is not as successful.
My goodness.
You don't feel like it's something like, who's going to, it's for God's glory, but who am I going to say this to?
Yeah.
And I tell people all the time, we thank God for the Mark Moores and so forth, who have great success stories that are encouraging. I just start New Zion Temple, whether it be Hammond, Indy, or Philly, and 1,000 people show up. You understand? You have spurts of great moments, but I'm talking about a consistent, faithful congregation that shows up. So when I started Hammond broken.
Started broken. Wow.
You understand? And so you're feeling, everybody looking, oh, but these people come, but these people came because I was rejected. So I was starting this church, and then the pastor pushed me out. Like, you can't come back here. So the rejection of not winning a vote, then the rejection.
I don't want to cut you off.
No,
I don't want to Brandon Jacobs you, but.
That was good. That was good. Honor me. Celebrate me.
I don't want to Brandon Jacobs you.
Oh my God.
Because
I'm gonna go deeper. Not even that.
Yeah, forget what you're saying. But I'm saying,
Keep doing what you do.
No. But I do want to say this. If to your comfort zone.
Yeah.
But they don't know this story. We know. You're talking about votes and whatnot.
It's blessing me hearing it again.
It does bless me hearing it again. To your comfort level, and if all things work together, go back. Go back to Minister Jacobs, the worship leader.
Yeah.
If, as you're able, if we need to cut it, we'll cut it.
No.
Give us the story, because they don't know.
So I go to this church, Mama side Baptist, Father side Apostolic. So I go to this church that I grew up in that was Baptist. They asked me to stay because the pastor was leaving, who was very impactful in my life. He gets another church. In the process of him getting another church, he asked me to stay. I stay. I'm 19. I become the interim pastor.
Now you're the worship leader first, right?
No, not at this moment.
Okay.
So, but when I'm there, I introduce praise and worship as the interim pastor. So I'm like leading worship, and this is a very successful Baptist church. But now you got this anxious, very on fire Pentecostal boy returning home, preaching to his family, but sending them all to hell because y'all ain't been down in Jesus' name, and y'all, all this stuff.
Yes, sir.
So and a lot of that I had to grow. I was immature, and so I preach. I'm there 9 months. God is blessing the moment. I got the middle chair. I'm the main speaker. The Baptist church, you don't get an adjutant, you get a nurse.
With your peppermints and that little orthopedic shoes.
And so I'm preaching, and I'm not the choice. So I go from being the main preacher, the interim pastor, to they bring in another pastor who's very gifted, very great man of God, to now being the praise and worship leader.
So you're not in that middle chair.
No, so now I don't have a parking spot. I don't have a nurse no
more nurse.
I'm not necessarily sitting in the main seat. I may sit in the pulpit, or depending on what role I was serving at the time, either on the side, preparing for praise and worship, or assisting in any way I can. But now I'm parking around the corner. I have nowhere to hang my coat. I got to roll my coat up. So I went from there to all the way low, and other things that happened in other churches. But one Sunday he gets up and says, "You're preaching today." Get up and preach. And I'm making a long story. I know people listen who know the story, like, "Oh, you're missing so many intricate pieces." But I preach. And after
Take time, it's a long podcast.
we
ain't got to fill the space.
After I preach, he says, we can't have two pastors. So this Wednesday, everybody want to go. I'm Reverend Jacobs now. Everybody want to go to Reverend Jacobs. You go over there.
Hold on.
Why would he think that there were two pastors?
Because I was interim before he was the senior pastor.
But you were so devoted, you were just leading worship at the time.
Yeah, but that
People are still connected to you? Is that
yeah,
what
there was still a connection. You know that little. Let me tell you. Oh,
You were taking them into the glory.
That's so interesting.
the glory zone?
I'm about to say that's what it was.
let me tell you what was going on.
He was taking them into the
Let me tell you
glory.
what I hated. Because you got to remember, a lot of my family go here. I grew up in this church, so people get up now that he's the pastor, and they can see my influence. And I'm still preaching. I'm still itinerant. They would get up and say, "Just hold on, Reverend Jacob.
Yeah.
Your time is coming." Why y'all even got to bring that up?
Right.
Why we got to talk about that?
Yeah.
You know, like there'll be a powerful move. You know, I'll lead worship, and God had moved in an amazing way, and they'll get up. Woo, we just love Reverend Jacob.
Why y'all ain't vote?
Right. Just hold on.
Don't cry. Vote.
Your time is coming.
Ooh, I hate that for you. And I wasn't there.
And I'm just thinking, y'all just move on. Just you ain't gotta tell me. Like,
You're making it worse for me.
you know, so I guess with him, he's thinking, you know, hearing all of these sound bites, you know, and he was extremely helpful, extremely encouraging.
So this wasn't Saul, let's kill this
You
thousand.
took them.
Got it.
Okay.
No, he
Okay.
really was pushing.
That's huge.
He really helped. He was very instrumental. So he got up and said, "Everybody want to go with him this Wednesday?" He was like, "I'm gonna push you out. You got to go." Apostle Robinson wouldn't let me come back to Jersey. He's now kicking me out. So I tell preachers, I didn't start New Zion Temple to prove something.
That's good.
I started New Zion. I was pushed out. Knew I had to call, and I felt like I was ready, but God pushed me out. And we started New Zion Temple that Wednesday. 47 people showed up, and we started, and then that church was a blessing. But I'm thrown out to. I don't think I'm gonna win. I just been rejected. These people didn't want me. So now you got to
You
think.
preaching through that.
Yeah. So now you're dealing with. Does anybody want me?
Yeah.
And then there's rumors. Oh, it won't last 6 months.
Yeah.
You know, you got all this type of stuff going on, and you got to preach through that. And I have to prepare a sermon and all of this. I'm gonna be honest. I never wanted to start a church. I never wanted to start a church. I didn't want to start no church.
We just started 3 of them.
Yeah, you're
And are we talking about the 4 campus yet?
No.
It's like, okay, we'll keep it.
No.
Inbox me. That's cash app.
No.
I'll tell you, it's school.
Since we breaking news announcement. Y'all thought I was announcement. Since we making announcements. Toronto, look out! News Zion Temple up north. Huh?
And so, man, I think that was the hardest part for me. It wasn't the preaching of the message; it was the preparation for it. Because you know, as we're preaching, we're thinking about those we're getting ready to preach to, and how is this going to meet them where they are, and to prepare for it. So for me, that was something like when my father died. My grandmother died on a Saturday night, Sunday morning, and I had to get up with that. So me, you know, as we do, I'm sure you know, you're in the office trying to look over the message before you go out and preach it. And I can remember sitting in my office thinking, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't feel like it. But now I have to show people how to obey God even while you're mourning.
Yes, sir.
How to complete an assignment even when you're broken. How to stand in it and fight back the tears and tell God yes and do what God called you to do. So for me, the hardest part wasn't necessarily the delivery as much as it was the preparation to have something to say, you know, to the people and people waiting. You're gonna cry.
He gonna cry.
You gonna cry.
You know, oh, like, what are you gonna do? And only so they can say, oh, you're so strong. God, he's gonna cry. Ooh. Hold him up, Lord.
Hold him up, Lord. Hold him up.
They don't mean no harm.
They don't mean any harm.
They don't mean no
Their
harm.
hearts are good, but you feel like,
But it's hard.
You know what I'm saying?
You're already annoyed.
yeah, and sometimes you gotta be like, listen, I'm all right. Turn your Bibles. Let me get it over with.
Right, let's get through this.
So yeah, so that for me, the dry season is trying to prepare, and you want to prepare a sermon that's still going to be life-changing for the people that doesn't believe your brokenness. You don't want to be preaching, how to go through the fire when it's, and now you're preaching out of your experience and maybe not necessarily something that God has ordained for them. So now I have to seek God through my brokenness to say something that they need for where they are, not from where I'm believing for.